Her son refused to use the school bus and started acting strangely whenever he had to go to school. One day, the mother finally had enough and decided to secretly follow behind. And what she discovered shattered her world completely. In the quiet rhythm of an ordinary Monday morning where sunlight painted kitchen counters in warm gold, one mother's growing unease about her 6-year-old son's sudden terror of the school bus transformed into a mother's worst nightmare when she chose to trust her instincts over everyone else's dismissal. Emma Wilson watched her son Tyler's small shoulders slump over untouched cereal, his once bright eyes now shadowed with a fear no child should carry, a fear that had stolen his appetite, his laughter, and his peaceful sleep for weeks. This is the heart-wrenching yet inspiring story of how one mother's refusal to ignore the warning signs led her to uncover a predator hiding in plain sight on a yellow school bus, a story that reveals the hidden dangers lurking in trusted community roles and the unbreakable power of a parent's love to protect what matters most. Historical records from the early 20th century show that school transportation safety concerns date back to the first organized bus systems in the 1920s, when rural consolidation created longer routes and new vulnerabilities, while modern FBI reports on school-related exploitation since the 1990s highlight how trusted figures like bus drivers have occasionally exploited that trust, reminding us that vigilance has always been necessary to safeguard children in transit. For English learners worldwide, this tale unlocks powerful language. The idiom shattered her world captures the devastating emotional impact of sudden betrayal, while growing unease describes that slow-building discomfort that refuses to be ignored. Expressions that help you articulate real-life parental instincts with vivid emotional depths. As we follow Emma from kitchen doubts to a desperate chase behind a yellow bus, we witness not only the drama of discovery, but also timeless lessons in listening to intuition, the courage to act when others dismiss, and the universal wisdom that protecting innocence requires both love and action. What would you do if your child's unexplained fear pointed to something darker than anyone would believe? Would you accept convenient explanations to keep peace? Or would you risk being called overprotective to follow that quiet voice of warning, proving that true parental love sometimes means trusting your gut over everyone else's reassurance? Emma stood in her sunlit kitchen on that fateful Monday, the comforting aroma of coffee and toast doing nothing to ease the knot of worry tightening in her chest as she watched 6-year-old Tyler push away his cereal bowl untouched, his small fingers fidgeting with the placemat in a new nervous habit that had appeared only weeks earlier. Historical parallels to parental vigilance stretch back to the Industrial Revolution when factory work separated parents from children, leading to the first child labor laws in the 1830s that emphasized protecting the young from hidden dangers, evolving into modern school safety protocols after high-profile cases in the 1980s and 1990s that exposed how trusted community roles could be exploited. Tyler's once cheerful morning energy had vanished, replaced by slumped shoulders, downcast eyes, and mumbled excuses about not feeling well, behaviors that had escalated from occasional reluctance to daily dread, including returning nightmares and bedwetting that had mysteriously reappeared after 2 years of resolution. Emma crouched beside his chair, bringing herself to his eye level, her voice soft with concern as she asked what was wrong, only to receive the same quiet, "I don't want to go to school today," that had become their painful morning ritual. David, her husband, lowered his newspaper with practiced efficiency, dismissing the signs as first-grade jitters, or adjustment to the new teacher, Mrs. Peterson, his crisp button-down shirt and tied contrasting sharply with Emma's growing maternal alarm. Vivid character moments captured Emma's internal conflict, her hands trembling slightly as she prepared Tyler's lunchbox while replaying his recent behaviors. The way he stiffened at the sound of the bus engine, the paleness of his face each morning, the trembling hands clutching his lunchbox like a shield. The idiom, "knot in her stomach," perfectly describes that persistent twist of anxiety no parent can ignore, while warning bell refers to that inner alarm that signals something is deeply wrong, essential English expressions for conveying parental intuition in storytelling or real conversations. Philosophical teaching here draws from the universal wisdom that a mother's instinct is nature's first line of defense, echoing ancient cultural beliefs across civilizations that parental intuition protects the vulnerable, and modern psychology research on attachment theory that validates listening to subtle behavioral changes in children. For English learners, the narrative offers rich descriptive tools. Shoulders slumped forward, body language showing defeat or sadness, eyes downcast, avoiding eye contact due to shame or fear, and familiar pang of worry, repeated emotional pain from concern, helping you paint family dynamics with emotional accuracy and cultural sensitivity. As the yellow bus rumbled to a stop and Tyler erupted into hysterical crying, clinging to the handrail while refusing to board, Emma felt her unease crystallize into action. The bus driver's overly friendly intervention with Candy only deepened her suspicion, especially after a quick conversation with another mother whose son showed identical symptoms. This chapter reveals that dismissing a child's unexplained fear as just a phase can delay protection, teaching us that true parental love requires trusting subtle signals over convenient explanations. When your child's behavior changes without clear reason, do you accept easy answers to maintain normalcy? Or do you lean into that uncomfortable unease and investigate, proving that vigilance born of love can prevent tragedies before they fully unfold? Emma's decision to secretly follow the bus that morning stemmed from a mother's unshakable conviction that something was terribly wrong, a conviction that propelled her into her car despite the risk of being seen as overprotective or paranoid. Historical context of parental advocacy includes the 1970s to 1980s stranger danger campaigns in the United States that educated families about hidden risks in everyday routines like school commutes, leading to improved safety protocols and awareness programs that continue evolving with technology today. As the yellow bus pulled away with Tyler aboard, Emma's hands gripped the steering wheel tightly, her heart racing with a mix of fear and determination while she maintained a careful distance on the service road behind Westfield Elementary. The bus's familiar bright color, once a symbol of safe transport, now appeared ominous as it deviated from its normal route, turning onto a narrow, poorly maintained path lined with sparse trees that scraped against her car. Vivid character moments captured Emma's internal turmoil, her breath catching as the bus stopped beside a weathered white camper van with gray stripes, her body going cold when she recognized Buford leading Tyler by the hand toward the camper door, the boy's reluctant steps and stiff posture breaking her heart. The idiom, "every maternal instinct screamed," describes that powerful, primal urge to protect one's child, while heart racing with fear conveys the physical sensation of panic, advanced English phrases that help learners express intense parental emotions in personal stories or discussions. Philosophical teaching here centers on the universal wisdom that inaction in the face of a child's fear makes us complicit in their suffering, drawing from ethical traditions across cultures that emphasize the duty to protect the innocent, encouraging personal growth by challenging us to move beyond social pressure and act on protective instincts. For English learners, the story models tension-building language, breath caught in her throat, sudden emotional shock stopping breathing, body going cold, physical sensation of dread, and maintained a careful distance, following without being detected, tools for crafting suspenseful narratives with emotional authenticity. When Emma burst from her car and pounded on the camper door, demanding it open, the sight inside shattered her world. Tyler sitting on a bench with tears streaming down his face, candy wrappers scattered around, and a digital camera positioned nearby, confirming the worst fears a mother could imagine. Buford's panicked protests and attempts to block her view only fueled her fury as she pushed past him to reach her son, her voice strong with protective rage. This chapter teaches that following a child's unexplained terror can uncover hidden dangers, reminding us that the bravest parental act is often defying dismissal to pursue the truth. When everyone around you dismisses your concerns as overreaction, what inner voice will you trust to guide your actions? And how might that single decision to investigate become the difference between continued harm and timely rescue for someone you love? The discovery inside the camper van revealed the horrifying truth: Buford had been exploiting his position as a trusted bus driver to isolate and abuse children during school hours, a betrayal that left Emma reeling as police swarmed the scene and Tyler clung to her in exhausted relief. Historical patterns of institutional trust being exploited date to the early days of public schooling in the 19th century, when long bus routes in rural areas created opportunities for abuse, with documented cases increasing in the 1980s as awareness of child protection grew through movements like the establishment of Child Protective Services in the United States. Emma's emotional journey reached its peak as she held Tyler tightly in the patrol car, her body shielding him from the chaos, while her mind processed the candy wrappers, the camera, and her son's tearful confession that Buford had been taking pictures and demanding secrecy in exchange for treats. Vivid character moments included Emma's hands trembling as she called 911, her voice breaking with urgency while maintaining enough composure to provide clear details, and the way Tyler buried his face in her shirt, his small body still shaking from the ordeal. The idiom, "world shattered," captures the devastating emotional collapse when trusted reality proves false, while clung to her in relief, describes desperate holding born from safety after terror. Powerful English expressions for conveying trauma and rescue in storytelling. Philosophical teaching draws from the universal wisdom that betrayal by the trusted wounds deepest, but love heals strongest, echoing ancient proverbs on vigilance and modern trauma recovery principles that emphasize secure attachment as the foundation for healing, encouraging personal growth by asking us to rebuild trust carefully after violation. For English learners, the narrative provides rich examples of emotional description, reeling with horror, feeling dizzy from shock, voice breaking with urgency, speech cracking under emotional strain, and body shielding him, physically protecting from harm, helping you express crisis and protection with sensitivity and power. As more parents arrived at the station with similar stories and Detective Morris confirmed the premeditated tampering of the bus GPS, the investigation expanded rapidly, revealing Buford's long pattern of abuse spanning years. Emma's quiet strength in supporting Tyler through initial questioning and medical checks demonstrated her transformation from doubting mother to fierce protector, while David's arrival brought shared guilt and renewed commitment to their son's healing. This chapter affirms that discovering betrayal demands immediate action and long-term compassion, teaching us that a parent's greatest power lies not in perfection but in the willingness to face uncomfortable truths for their child's sake. When trust is shattered by someone in a position of authority over your child, do you crumble under the weight of regret, or do you channel that pain into protective action and healing, becoming the advocate your child needs while modeling resilience for everyone watching? In the weeks following the rescue, as Tyler began therapy and the family navigated the long road to healing under the guidance of specialists, Emma and David discovered that confronting the darkness had ultimately strengthened their bond and restored their son's light. Historical journeys of recovery after institutional abuse parallel this experience, from the survivor support movements after the 1980s Catholic Church scandals to contemporary school safety reforms following high-profile cases in the 2000s, showing that communities and families can rebuild stronger when they face systemic failures with transparency and care. Emotional development unfolded as Tyler's nightmares gradually lessened with consistent therapy, his laughter returning during family game nights and pool swims, while Emma learned to trust her instincts. Without second-guessing, her once frayed relationship with David deepening through shared vulnerability and mutual support. Vivid character moments included quiet evenings where Tyler would crawl into Emma's lap and share small pieces of his experience, each disclosure met with gentle listening rather than pressure, and David's adjusted work schedule allowing him to attend every therapy session and school event. The idiom "long road to healing" describes the gradual process of recovery after trauma, while "restored their son's light" evokes bringing back joy and innocence, meaningful English metaphors for discussing resilience and family renewal. Philosophical teaching reaches its conclusion in the universal wisdom that what breaks us can also remake us stronger, drawing from ancient resilience teachings in Stoicism and Buddhist concepts of suffering leading to compassion, encouraging personal growth by reminding us that facing family crises together builds unbreakable unity. For English learners, the story culminates with reflective language mastery, gradually lessened, slow improvement over time, shared vulnerability, opening up emotionally with others, and mutual support, reciprocal help and encouragement. tools for articulating personal transformation and family dynamics with depth and hope. As the investigation led to Buford's arrest and charges, and additional victims came forward, Emma found purpose in advocating for better bus safety protocols, turning her pain into prevention for other families. Tyler's progress, marked by returning confidence and friendships, reminded them daily that healing is possible when love meets action. This final chapter celebrates that even the deepest wounds can mend when met with patience, truth, and unwavering family commitment. When darkness invades your child's world through trusted channels, do you allow it to define your family forever? Or do you choose the harder path of confrontation and healing, discovering that the strongest families are those forged in the fire of adversity and rebuilt with love that refuses to look away? The story of Emma, Tyler, and their journey from fear to freedom reminds every listener that a parent's instinct is a powerful force, and choosing to follow it can save not only one child but potentially many others, inviting us all to listen more carefully to the quiet signals of those we love most.